brand, career, community, and everyday life. Join us as we have some real talk discussions about hottest trends in news, media, and culture, as well as help small businesses and entrepreneurs with strategies and tips. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Dear White Paper. I am your host, Lenitra, owner of Indicator LLC, where we help small businesses and entrepreneurs who are doing really dope things bring visibility to what they do. And you can follow us at Indicator PR, that's INDIEKATERPR on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then I have my lovely co-host here with me. To the right of me, first I have Victoria.
Hey guys, I am Victoria Ray, owner of Victoria Ray Public Relations. We specialize in working with clients in industries related to beauty, art, culture, and hospitality. We're based in Charleston, South Carolina, and you can follow me on Instagram at Charleston PR Girl.
And then we have Renia.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. I'm Renia Jameson, owner of Purpose Promotions. You can find me best on my website, purposepromotions.net. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Renia KJ. I'm based in Columbia, South Carolina, and I do a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats, but check me out and let's connect.
All right, so guys, we are going to start with our first segment called Hot Off the Press. So this is where we educate you and entertain you through news, media, and culture. Now, keep in mind that these topics aren't necessarily the latest topics. They may not be something that just happened, but they're good topics where we feel like we can have a good conversation around. So let's go ahead and get started in the conversation.
So did you guys hear that Billboard has confirmed that the halftime show performer in the upcoming Super Bowl, 2019 Super Bowl in Atlanta will be Maroon 5?
I did actually hear that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about that, I've seen it on social media. That's how I heard about it first. And I know a lot of my friends on my timeline are from Atlanta. And they're kind of salty about it, to be honest. They rather a local artist perform since it's in Atlanta. And then keep in mind that Atlanta is a place where music is popping there. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense for them to have an Atlanta artist, right? I mean, you have so many great Atlanta artists. You have Outkast. I think that would be a great halftime performance. Have Ciara. I don't know if Ciara has performed on a platform that large. Has she?
I don't think so. But I think the thing about that is they, of course, have to appeal to their ratings, right?
Right.
So in addition to coming into Atlanta and having a good time, they also have to make sure that they're selling those commercials,
right,
and tuning into and ensuring that people are tuning into the show. So I wouldn't be surprised if, as the Super Bowl, they sat down and said, look, yeah, we're going to Atlanta, but even if we were in Minnesota, we want to make sure that we got the top billing artist that's going to get people to pay attention to those commercials that are airing throughout the show.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And when you're looking at a consumer perspective, of course, they don't see that. They just see, hey, it's supposed to be in Atlanta, so why not have an Atlanta artist? But you're right. When you're trying to appeal internationally, you have to make some tough decisions too.
You sure do.
And I'm sure there are dozens of factors that come into play when you're choosing that Super Bowl halftime act.
Right.
I'd be curious to know who the board of decision makers are.
That's a great question. Right.
That'd be interesting. What if there's someone from Atlanta who influenced that decision on the board? We don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it's really complicated, that balancing act between local and showing love to the city and region where your city or your event is taking place, and also creating a relevancy on the national stage. That's so delicate.
It is.
So I guess my question to you both would be, have you ever been in a situation where you had a local client who was focused on achieving a national relevance? Okay.
Kind of in the middle, honestly.
Okay. Well, I have one of my first clients when I went into PR independently was a line of all natural skincare.
Okay.
And the client actually had a spa that was located in a very specific city in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
She developed this natural product line. So it was really natural to place it in the Charleston market because she had a storefront in Charleston where she could put it on the shelves.
Right.
And she had her natural audience that gathered, trusted her expertise, but she really wasn't super interested on the Charleston market specifically. She really wanted a national presence. She wanted to reach everyone really nationally and internationally who was interested in skincare.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's really challenging, especially, again, it all depends on where the brand is coming from.
Right.
And everything is a marketing plan. Tackling the national stage is not easy.
It's not.
Yeah,
And it's not cheap.
No,
not.
it's not. It's
But you
definitely
know,
an investment.
It is, but people appreciate you being authentic to who you are.
Right.
So, like just think about when you visit somewhere, you want to feel like you have been to that authentic place. So yeah, you might swing through the Chick-fil-A. We talk about Chick-fil-A a lot,
Right,
you
we do.
but you might swing through Chick-fil-A for maybe like a quick lunch. But to really get the experience of the area, you want a local
Right.
meal from a top restaurant locally. So it's kind of like that as well when you're talking about brands being, from a place, representing a place. Be authentic to who you are,
Right.
but also being authentic, that sometimes is a great appeal to people other places.
Right. Now, have you guys heard about two McDonald's customers? They actually, I guess, had a photo shoot, and they actually took a photo of them, one person with some McDonald's fries and the other person with a burger. And they went into their local McDonald's and they hung it on the wall. And they hung it on the wall.
Excuse me.
Right. They just hung it
Two
up
of
on the
us.
wall. But it wasn't like a selfie picture. It was like
Okay.
professionally taken. So they had somebody, right. So they had somebody take the photo. They went into McDonald's and just hung it up. And McDonald's actually noticed and they gave them $25,000. Now, the reason that these McDonald's customers even did this is because they were Hispanic they were Asian. I'm sorry. They were Asian and they felt that they were underrepresented. They didn't see a lot of Asians in McDonald's marketing materials.
I love guerrilla marketing,
Yes.
number one.
Yes.
I also love that these individuals decided on their own that they didn't see themselves reflected, so they were going to be the reflection.
Mhm.
And I'm also going to give, maybe we're hungry because we're like Chick-fil-A,
I
McDonald's.
know.
But I think, McDonald's, I give them a little bit of props because the $25,000 they paid those two guys, I think that's way under budget for an ad campaign.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
It is. It's under budget for an ad campaign, but at the same time, I don't want it to be as if, they're just throwing money at them. Like, what are they going to actually do for this to be not just a one-time thing,
Right.
but to actually present Asians in their marketing materials and show that, okay, we understand where you're coming from, and this is something that we are actually going to consistently implement.
I agree, but like now with the internet, it's people, there have been artists who have just screen grabbed photos from Instagram and created entire gallery shows
That's
based on
true.
that.
Right.
And the people in those screen grabs have gotten no shout outs, no
That's true.
compensation,
Right.
no
That's true.
nothing. So
Right.
That's true. That's a great point.
Right. That's a good
excellent.
point. At least they did acknowledge them and recognize them. That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously got McDonald's attention.
Yeah.
And, when you talk to individuals from the Hispanic and from the Asian community, they often will share and remind us all that they are very underrepresented in our media, social media, regular media. We don't see that many go-to individuals that represent those communities.
Right.
And so I'm proud of the two individuals that
that was
were
a
brave
bold
enough to
move.
do that.
It was bold and it seemed to be fun too at the same time.
Right. But I'm also really proud, like you said, of McDonald's because they could have just, said, oh, well, we got all these McDonald's around the world. What's the big deal? And we're all around Asia. So what's the big deal?
Right.
But the fact that they paused to recognize maybe they will have some more more conversations when
Yeah.
they go back to the newsroom,
Right.
to the boardroom. But I think in terms of, as we think about entrepreneurs and businesses and individuals with their personal brand and managing those things, again, we've talked about it before, but making sure you pay attention to those conversations. So if somebody does a Google review and they give a comment about, hey, I didn't feel like you addressed this
Right.
thing right. Don't just get upset and take it personal or ignore it, but
Right.
use that
Definitely don't ignore
opportunity,
it.
right? Use that
Definitely don't
opportunity
ignore
to
it.
grow and stretch and really make your brand more relevant.
Right. And I think another thing on behalf of McDonald's, they didn't bring in like policy, like, oh my gosh, you were not supposed to hang up that picture in our restaurant. They didn't take that approach as well. And with small business owners and entrepreneurs, I think a good tip to take away from this is guerrilla marketing, which you may not know exactly what that is, but guerrilla marketing is really outside of the box marketing, basically. And I think that's something that you can do to grab the attention of your audience. So my question is, have you guys ever had a client who felt that they were really underrepresented? I actually have not.
I work with a collective, and we represent a lot. So
Well, I definitely am a yes to that, and right now I'm working with the Obama Foundation, and they've launched an amazing program called the Community Leadership Corps, and with that they've identified very young local leaders who are interested in making a difference in our community. Well, I've been blessed to be introduced to several individuals who are very much willing to not only acknowledge that their communities are underrepresented, but they are willing to actually take it a step further and work to represent our community. And so as such, I've got folks like one individual who is an LGBTQ plus community activist,
Okay.
and that individual is transgendered and goes by pronouns they, them, and their. So even in my interaction with that person, I've learned a lot about how to properly address this new movement of inclusion,
Right.
really giving everyone a seat at the table. But I'm really proud of this individual, and I'll give them a particular shout out. It is Miles, and Miles is an amazing community activist who's worked on developing a project to represent LGBTQ plus individuals in South Carolina history who have gone unnoticed.
Wow.
So people who have made impacts on the South Carolina history, but they're
written out.
exactly. And so that individual is working hard to actually put together a art installation that will
Okay.
bring broadband acknowledgement to that community.
That's
So
pretty cool.
big applause to that great work.
And to you.
Thank
That's
you.
great work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, Miles.
So I think we'll wrap up our hot topics portion with a discussion about something that people are still buzzing about months later. It is the On the Run tour that graced Columbia, South Carolina. Beyonce and Jay-Z Carter stepped onto the field at Williams-Brice Stadium back in August, and that was so monumental for South Carolina and Columbia in particular. But one very interesting thing that happened was that evening, Mayor Benjamin, the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, presented the Carters with a key to the city. And it was done not just because they sold out the
Right.
Williams-Brice Stadium, an 80,000 seat stadium, but because of the amazing impact that they've had across the nation with their contributions in terms of their nonprofit work, etc. And it was also acknowledged that even the show that evening, they had given away thousands of brand new fresh tickets to college students and young students across the city who were participating in nonprofit programs, so that they could come and enjoy the show. So it was really empowering because he didn't do a whole press conference around the key to the
Right.
city. He just kind of slipped in the back door, back there in the green room, got a quick shot with Jay-Z, and then posted it on Twitter, and just sent it out to his followers as normal. But it became viral.
It did.
And that's not the first key to the city that he's given. That's not the first key to the city I'm sure that the Carters have received. But it was a huge opportunity for the South Carolina landscape to be put on a huge platform and for something so empowering to be put out there.
Right.
So go ahead. I want to hear what you
Yeah.
got to
Now, you mentioned a good thing that he didn't do a press conference. He just took a picture and put it on social media. And that's actually where I saw it on social media. And even though I did not go to the concert, but I've heard so much great things about it, that night, literally almost everyone on my timeline was there. And you could tell it was just like a big moment for not only Columbia, South Carolina, but South Carolina in general.
Definitely.
So I thought that was a really, really big deal for us.
I was paying attention to some of the commentary. Also, I was at the concert. It died. It was my first Beyonce. I think that's like a landmark in my life. But I was reading commentary after the key to the city was presented, and a lot of people were questioning, what does this symbolism mean? What does it mean to give, a celebrity or an individual a key to a city? And I think that it's really symbolic. I think that it's showing a link.
Right.
Of course, we could say that it means anytime the two of them come into town, they'll get the red carpet. They can go wherever they want. We'll close down restaurants for them. I'm just speculating. I don't know if that's really how it works. But also, I think it shows like a kinship and a friendship and a respect to have, the leader of a town or a city acknowledge you by saying, look, thank you for being here. You have access.
I love that, the way you describe that, just kind of that link and that relationship. I like that. Yeah. So it just shows now that we have a relationship with the Carters.
Right.
And I know, right? Just saying it, we have a relationship with the Carters since we're in South Carolina. But I will say, I'm kind of upset that I didn't go. I'm not and Beehive, please don't tackle me for this. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan, but I do I do respect her as an artist. She is a great artist. She's a great performer. And now I'm like, I really do want to see her. I mean, I heard it was this just grand experience.
It was. And I feel you totally, Lenitra, because I too am not the gigantic, Beehive, person. And honestly, if the show had have been somewhere else, I probably would not have traveled far to go. But because of the significance to our city, I definitely was there as well.
Right.
Had a fabulous time. And it was an amazing show. It was a show of all shows. There was amazing artistry and entertainment, everything from the lighting to the staging, the dancing. It was an awesome show. But again, the show itself was so monumental for our city.
Right.
They could have chosen to go to Charlotte like most big acts typically do, but they came to Columbia. So that allowed folks from Charlotte to have to come and hang out in our city. The other thing is that it really was a masterful opportunity for local businesses to do some smart things. For instance, we've had Tiffany James on the show before from the Comet, which is our local public bus system. Hey, Tiff. And so the Comet set up a route that they don't normally set up in order to shuttle people to and from the show. And they had lines wrapped around the building. So it was monumental. Schools, businesses made those adjustments. And I think there's a good lesson for businesses, small business owners, and again, entrepreneurs. Look, pay attention to what's going on around you. Don't get so stuck into the normal, this is on my to-do list and I can't make adjustments. Pay attention to what's going around and make those necessary adjustments to remain relevant. So anyway, ladies, again, big props to the Beehive. You all represented. You made me a believer and Lenitra as well. And,
right. So I'll make sure to be at the next one.
And again, major shout out to Mayor Benjamin for taking the moment
Yes.
to pause to recognize them for their great acts. But my question for us as we wrap up this conversation is, have you had clients that have been given the top level acknowledgement awards? Again, the key to the city is it doesn't necessarily mean that it opens the vaults, but it is the mayor's highest opportunity
Right.
to award someone for their service. So have you had clients that have had an opportunity to get lifetime achievement awards of that sort? And what are your thoughts, ladies?
I have not had a client get anything like a key to the city or anything like that. But I think an important thing to keep in mind too is other than the community given to you is given back to the community as well.
Definitely.
So I did work, I helped one of my colleagues actually work with a client, and she did an event called Ladies Night Out, which was a huge success. And 10% of the proceeds actually went to the PD Coalition, which helps with women who have dealt with sexual assault or who have dealt with domestic violence. And they were able to give a check back to that nonprofit organization. So I think that's an important thing to remember too. It's always great to get awards and accolades, but it's also great to give back to the community as well.
And mentioning getting back to the community, we're going to wrap up today's show with a special installment. No CPR segment this time, but we're going to kind of give our Dear Paper Award
Yes.
to a local business owner. And so are y'all ready for that?
Yes, we
Yes.
are ready,
Good.
but you have to make sure to keep tuning in. We're going to wrap up our first segment and we'll be back with CPR.
Hey y'all, it's Kamisha Dean, the next Walmart Gospel Superstar of 2018. After winning, I released my brand new single called Thank You Lord, and in its first 2 weeks, it made it to the iTunes and the Billboard charts. If you haven't heard it yet, make sure you go get it on iTunes, Google Play, or Amazon. And tell me what you think. Make sure you follow me on Instagram too, at Kamisha Dean.
Welcome back. Thank you for still staying tuned with us. We are doing a very special edition of CPR, and CPR is normally where we allow small business owners and entrepreneurs to send us a video introducing their business, where we give some feedback and some strategies and tips on how they can overcome that challenge. But today we really wanted to acknowledge a local business owner or entrepreneur who is really doing some great things in the community, who without even us giving strategies and tips, they actually went out and did amazing themselves. So Renee is going to actually tell us a little bit about our local business owner that we are going to actually acknowledge today. And she is being presented with our Dear White Paper Award.
Yes, I'm so excited. So full disclosure, this is not one of my clients, but is a true friend. And I was so impressed to witness a couple of weeks ago, Misty Burton of Tenfold Collective was able to sponsor a full-fledged fundraiser for Lighthouse for Life nonprofit because of the proceeds that her corporation has received over a 9-month period.
Wow.
So in 9 months, Misty launched a jewelry business. And with that business, she decided at the very beginning that she was so moved about what she had heard about human trafficking in our state that 1/3 of all of her proceeds would go to fight human trafficking.
Wow.
Cause and purpose does so much.
It does. It does.
I mean, for setting you apart and for keeping you energized. I'm curious. So you said she just started this whole thing 9 months ago?
9 months.
That's-
9 months.
And does she make the jewelry?
She does. She does. She makes every piece, but there are some pieces that she reaches out to other nations and
Oh,
gets
wow.
some of the individuals there. There are some companies there that employ local folks out and kind of lift them up out of poverty.
Mhm.
And so she also sells some of those pieces as well under the Tenfold umbrella.
Awesome. And I'm so glad that she is behind the cause. What organization? Is there a certain nonprofit organization that she's affiliated with it?
It is, and so a couple of things. It's Lighthouse for Life, which is a statewide organization
Okay.
that is fighting human trafficking in our backyards. And human trafficking is such a ugly topic that nobody really, you don't think about your jewelry and connecting that with
Right.
something so ugly as human trafficking and sex exploitation, right? But she packages every single one of her deliveries with information about human trafficking and a link to the national hotline for
Awesome.
individuals to become more aware of human trafficking. A lot of times people think, oh, that's got to be in another country or definitely a big city.
Right.
It couldn't be on the 26 corridor, but in
Right.
actuality, South Carolina has horrible numbers when it comes to human trafficking.
Wow.
But she is a Tenfold Collective, and one of the signature pieces that she has are earrings that are a teardrop shape leather style earring, and the teardrop is symbolic of the tears that are shed for these
Oh, that
survivors
is
and those that are
wow.
challenged.
I absolutely love that. I mean, it's so much, seems like she put so much thought into
Yes.
it
Yes.
from not only her organization, but the way she actually made the actual earrings. That is awesome. How can we follow her?
Yes, she is tenfoldcollective.com, and on Instagram, she actually posts a lot of her jewelry on Instagram, and again continues to share the calls there as well. But on Instagram, she's at Tenfold.
Maybe we will put a link to her website
Definitely.
and her socials down in the comment thread for this video.
We definitely will. And again, I'm just very proud to see in a 9-month span how she has been
Yes.
able to grow. This fundraiser that they had was packed. I'm talking about 200 people. And she
Wow.
was the sole sponsor, all because of that dedicated focus from the beginning. So the lesson for our small business owners, be strategic in what you
Yes.
do. And it
Yes.
is so important to, again, be authentic to
Mhm.
those things and people that you care about. So let people know what your causes
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Give back to the community. And again, quantity, in my opinion, always drives quality, always drives quantity. Let me say it
Right.
again to make sure I get it right. Quality always drives
Quality.
quantity.
Yes.
So don't be so focused on the bottom line that you forget about the quality that you need to be
Mhm.
concerned about on the front end. Focus on the quality, and the people, the customers will come.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, focus on the quality, also focus on the connection that you're making with your audience. Obviously, she put a lot of thought of that connection that she's making with her audience and put a lot of thought behind the presentation of it as well. So definitely keep that in mind. It's about the quality, it's about making that connection, and about building the relationships with your clients as well and with your audience.
Definitely.
Know your why.
Yes.
Why do you do what you do? Why do you make what you make? Is it to support a cause? Is it to raise awareness? Is it to
Right.
raise funds? Is it to, help create more representation? Why do you do what you do? Is it
Right.
so people have healthy things to eat? Know why you do what you do and allow that to inform all your decisions.
The why is so much more important than the what.
Definitely.
So much more important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a high five on that one too. And, of course, she's made a big step by breaking down a huge portion of her proceeds. But what she does doesn't really cost her a whole lot more. She's got to mail these packaged jewelry
Right.
out, right? And so slipping in that extra piece of paper to share more information about human trafficking and sharing more about making the hotline more readily available to people, that doesn't technically cost her anything.
Right.
So think about ways as you're building your brand, how can you add those extra pieces to the picture without really letting it cost you a whole bunch more.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
great
great.
job. Please make sure that you follow her company. Like I said, we are going to make sure the link is here and accessible for you to follow her. And this is actually our finale for our season 1 pilot, which I know. Which is kind of bittersweet because it's going to be the end of this season, but it's going to be the beginning of so much more and so much more great content. So thank you guys for joining us on the journey for Dear White Paper Season 1, our pilot. And we can't wait to see you guys again. And thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys stay connected with us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dear White Paper.
And we love to hear from any business owners, any folks that are focused on building your brand. If you have some videos that you'd like to share with us for the CPR segment and get wonderful advice from us and our guests, please go ahead and submit those at dearwhitepaper@gmail.com. Make sure your video is 2 minutes or less and that we can hear you and see you well. And we'll be sure to try to get you on and get you some great feedback.
And as we start gearing up for season 2, we really want you guys to help influence what that looks like. So if you have ideas or suggestions for topics or different segments that we could incorporate in the show, we want to know what you want to see. So you can email that as well to dearwhitepaper@gmail.com.
Thank you.